Anubis created the super soldiers, and that came from I think, rather intelligent recognition on his part that the Jaffa were no longer a reliable army. We've done a number of stories now where the Jaffa have begun to doubt the Gould as gods and have turned upon the Gould in many circumstances, and there are rebel Jaffa spies amongst the Jaffa, and you know, at this point I kind of think the Gould were being a bit silly not coming up with an alternative servant warrior, so to speak, and that was one of the reasons we had Anubis create the super soldiers, was to make him look like a smarter, more formidable villain. The Gould are supposed to be these high-tech, powerful master race that has access to incredible technology, and yet all they have are these guys, you know, running around in skirts, blowing horns. So we wanted to introduce a more formidable but also higher tech super warrior that would present a challenge for us, and yeah, and add some sort of a cool factor to the show, and I think that the sort of the multi-dimensional layer to them, they aren't just a robot warrior. There's a kind of a cool duality to them. They have a Gould inside them, and a Gould that's been animated using ancient technology that Anubis has utilized. Makes it very unique to the Stargate universe.
Rob came up with the idea of having a kind of a new level of bad guy, if you will. Like, you know, we've had, it was born of the issue of that Jaffa were beginning to join the Free Jaffa movement. The logical step was to create a bad guy who was basically like a Terminator. And what happened is, when we were getting ready to do Evolution Part 1 and 2, we just started talking conceptually about the super soldier, or the Cull Warriors, as they eventually became known, and what they would look like and what they would be like, and I guess the science behind them was an issue. A lot of it actually was initially born of the ideas that came out of Cure, when you had a symbiote that had the healing powers and gave you strength and stuff, but it didn't take over your will. It was basically a tabula rasa, or a blank slate Gould. And Rob used that as a springboard for, like, what if you could create a superhuman clone, as it were, and put a symbiote in them, but they didn't have any of that horrible ego and posturing that goes on when you're dealing with a Gould. So essentially, a Gould slave with all sorts of interesting technology. And from there, strength, incredible allegiance, loyalty, which is not what the Gould are known for. So essentially you got someone who was unquestionably loyal to Anubis. You got healing powers and strength of a Gould, and you got technology that made them incredibly hard to kill. Blow them up, you need a huge amount of explosives to do that. Bullets don't work, even Zat and staff blasts don't work, and even a lot of defensive weaponry, as we see in Evolution Part 1, shielding, contain, doesn't work. So it was sort of mission accomplished in finding a really, really tough to kill bad guy.
We wanted it to be more than just a guy in a suit, robot warrior. We wanted there to be an added dimension to this bad guy that made him extra creepy, and I think the idea of having a reanimated zombie Gould inside this evil black suit just made it all that much more scary.
Speak!
I serve Anubis.
Rob is great at blurring the line between the human and the technological, and I think people are always fascinated when you see something that symbolizes the nexus point between that, is it a human or is it a machine? And you're not sure. Well, it's a creation of some kind. It's alive, but it'll kill you, you know, and you can't kill it. And I think that was what the Super Soldier thematically brought to the show, which is this very tried and true sci-fi element, and it was exciting to watch it kind of come to life.
When we first conceive of a concept like the super soldier that we know is going to involve an expensive and intricate design element like a suit, myself or one of the other producers will go to the art department and we'll discuss what our thoughts are and what we've imagined, and A lot of times I will just let them come up with something. I don't try not to give them too much direction because they're very creative people in and of their own right, and they will oftentimes bring ideas that are even better than what we imagined. It's a process, so we'll eventually work towards a result that everybody's happy with.
The way the Super Soldier was designed by the art department was done mainly through Rob talking to them about what he saw it looking like. Me working with them as I wrote the episode, Evolution Part 1, and saying, look, I'm thinking about this, and I would call them and go, look, I'm writing the scene where they take the mask off and all this mucusy stuff. Can we do mucus? Can the thing come off? Can air escape? Are there hoses that they've got to disconnect? And they go, yeah, we're going to try that. And so I would sort of work with them while the script was being written. As often happens in TV, you don't sort of go, here's the script, just design exactly what it says. It's often done in tandem. You're writing, they're working, you're talking to each other. And ultimately what came out was great. You know, it wasn't like I wrote, and he's wearing red, and he's got a mustache.
The original concept was probably less of a concept and more kind of a general direction as to the requirements of what this character had to do. And the design wound up being based on that kind of thing. They wanted something that was more high-tech. The concept was that they're dead flesh, cloned bodies that were reanimated by use of, I believe it was the Telcheck device. And the look of the soldier was basically just to be more high-tech, scary. That was pretty much it. So it was very wide open when I sat down and did the first sketch. This is the first drawing that I did. When this drawing went in, they didn't like the cloth headdress hanging from the back of the helmet. They would not be carrying staff weapons anymore. Second, they were much happier with no staff weapon anymore. The chest section changed largely, and I based it more on human physiology than anything else. Here's a look at what we anticipated they'd look like once they were cleaned out, and also detailing of the impervious suit. This is my first take on the man inside the mask, and I guess the initial reactions were a little too Borg, and I was also going to do something I hadn't seen anywhere, which was have this fiber optic network running across the skull. This is a profile view of the clay maquette, keeping the praying mantis sort of look down in here. Todd Masters' take, the final prosthetic, and there you have it, the making of a monster.
We knew it would be very expensive to create one suit, but the idea was to create molds so that we could ultimately create a number of suits. The nice thing about the super soldier is he's wearing a mask, and so we cast a couple of guys, one in particular who's kind of our hero super soldier, and even though we kill the super soldiers all the time, Dan Payne comes back and plays him every time. It's been a great gig for Dan. I know there's some downsides to playing the super soldier. Being in that outfit can be quite hot, especially outside in the summertime, but I think it's been a pretty good gig for him.
The secret of the super soldier is that there's a really nice guy inside, despite all the evil and killing, okay? That's about it. No. Secret's about playing the super soldier. They built a body to build the suit on for me, and a head as well. Then they went to building the armor on top of that, and a suit that goes underneath. And they did an amazing job. It was the most functional, mobile, full body unit I've ever been in. So for comfort, it's awesome. The discomfort comes from the heat. And as was mentioned, there's a couple of days where we're running around in the 100-degree weather, or so it felt. And yeah, if you don't stay hydrated, I started to see, pink elephants with purple tutus a couple times. I shot at them, and it was just good times, except for overheating, basically. There's a girl, Nancy, who was the primary care person for me for the suit, and she was phenomenal. And any little, if something was sticking in here or there, she'd second skin it, and it would be done in a second. Well, at first it took us about 30 minutes to get into. Now it takes about 15 to 20. And getting out as fast as I possibly can, really. It's sticky and evil, but yeah, you get out of it no problem.
Well, I think this character, although we do eventually see underneath the outfit, I think he's kind of scary anyway. I mean, Dan Payne, the unseen man inside the mask, I believe is about 6'5". Then we put a pair of 2 to 3 inch heels on him in the boots, and on top of that is the added height from the helmet itself, because we placed the eyes. His real eyes would be here, and the electric glowing eyes are actually about forehead level on him. He, by the time he's all suited up, he's, I'm guessing, close to 7 feet tall. So I mean, just his sheer stature is kind of scary. The quality of the material is dark, reflective, high gloss material all through, and it takes light beautifully. That's one of the things that I love. You can see almost no detail on him, except you get these 2 glowing eyes staring out, and then surface detail, light rippling off the ribs in his outfit, and the lines. Everywhere I could, I kept the lines changing and moving, and I was really pleased with that aspect of it, because at the end of the day, the light just lives and moves on him. It's a very cool thing to look at.
What makes the Super Soldier cool is the fact that he's a 7-foot tall, massive dude in black armor. I think that just visually. The cool factor is anything that's tough to kill, people are interested in. I mean, that was what the Terminator mythology was. How do you handle something that's, you know, almost invincible? How deep inside do you have to go to find a way to defeat something that's almost undefeatable? And that's a neat dynamic.
It wasn't fun anymore to kill Jaffa. We had gotten to know them so well through Teal'c. We realized that they were very much just victims in the whole milieu of Stargate. I worked the word milieu into a sentence. There are a lot of situations where in stories you want to just be able to shoot the bad guy and feel good about it. And that's what the Super Soldier became for us. Well, he's definitely cool. I mean, I think it's made the ghouls, specifically Anubis, look a little smarter. It's given our team a new obstacle to overcome. Episodes like Avatar, in which, even though the Super Soldier was really just a figment of the game that Teal'c was trapped in, it was a great video game foil for Teal'c.
We see them in key moments in Lost City. We see them in season 8 episodes, just suggesting that, hey, you know, where there's Anubis, there are super soldiers, and you know, Anubis is a tough enough customer, but he's also got this posse of badasses who work for him, and I think it's added an extra layer of coolness to the look of SG-1. I bet you that the technology Anubis was using to create them has not been shelved. I think there's probably going to be more variations on that kind of bad guy creation. I spent a lot of time thinking about how you reveal this brand new bad guy, and that opening moment in Evolution Part 1 where Braytak and Teal'c come across this massacre, and someone says it wasn't another army, it was one man. You go, what? You know, and then suddenly there's this guy. He just starts laying waste, and there's a great moment of where both of them go, wait a minute, we just shot this guy, and he just laughed it off. And I think that's a great moment of arrival.
Yeah, I loved Evolution. It was just the introduction, and I think it was a great introduction. Everybody's sort of awe at how powerful this guy was. Prometheus Unbound is an episode we've just finished shooting, and will air in the second half of season 8. And it brings a whole new dimension to the Super Soldier that probably none of us really ever expected when he was first created. And I think fans will really enjoy that.